Recording.
Did your phone have enough memory for this?
Dude, we just started the video, you dick-sucking buffoon.
You can't say that on the...
I'm
Watch
pretty sure
me.
we're editing that part out.
Watch me. I got his clap sync.
Nobody fucking... No, that,
Yeah, and then they cut it out after the clap.
You're in the middle, you're the primary host. I think you should be the one who claps.
3, 2,
You
1.
did clap.
Okay, you ready?
I thought that was the start.
It's just
You
a clap
s-
sync.
What do you mean? What the fuck is
Start
a
it?
clap sync?
It just
No.
syncs the sound. Okay. Okay, 3, 2, 1. I don't know how to start this.
Here's the deal. You clap, I'll start it, you follow my lead.
3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the SJW Podcast. My name is Wyatt Peters and I am your co-host. This is our main host, Justin Whistler.
Howdy. And today we got our somebody here. His name's Darian Black.
He will be standing in for Elon Musk today.
Always.
Not always. He's a bit salty at the moment.
Elon will be here one day, but not at the moment, I guess.
For any of you that haven't been keeping up, SJW stands for Somebody, JD, and Wyatt.
And if you think it stands for anything else,
You're wrong.
Yeah, you're a crazy person. We don't know who you are. Stay away from me. And my son. So, bottom line
You have a
is,
son, Wyatt?
this is our first podcast, so stuff might get a little trippy, a little confused. We might not stare at the camera, but get used to it. We'll slowly improve our quality as we go along.
I feel like we shouldn't stare at the camera, because that's a little awkward. You don't just stare
Well, it's
into
a
the
good thing
camera.
you're the somebody.
No, well,
Oh, Wyatt.
already starting off with a roast. It's alright.
Waiting for Elon Musk.
So, you had a few topics you wanted to start us off with this time around, Wyatt.
Yes, I'm glad you pawned that off on me. So, very recently, and by very recently I mean like a month ago, Blizzard went into a deal where they shut down a guy named Blitzchung for actively supporting Hong Kong. And while it may have been reasonable if they had just penalized him and said, hey, we can't have that kind of stuff on here, we have a lot of Chinese viewers, instead they just decided to entirely censor him, take away, I think it was how many years?
5, I believe. They took away a good amount of time. Plus, they stopped all of his source of income, everything.
Why are you
Like,
talking like that?
because that's how I talk. It's me talking loud so the
We're not salesmen.
Why? How do you want? You talk the same way I am. So how do you want to talk? How do you want
Anyway.
to talk?
So,
JD, go on about Blitzchung. Tell them what happened.
so,
If you know. We're kind of uninformed. We're just going off the seat of our pants.
so, anyways, well, I personally have enjoyed Blizzard for quite a while. Played Overwatch.
Hearthstone.
I did play Hearthstone. You played Hearthstone quite a bit.
Yeah,
didn't you?
I'm not a big fan of the Overwatch game or a lot of what Blizzard does, but I was a big fan of Hearthstone. And after the incident with Blitzchung, which is where they decided to support money over freedom of speech, I had to delete Hearthstone, which made me very sad. And anyone who buys Overwatch 2 is a degenerate, in my opinion. I'm sure my friends disagree, as they're probably both going to get it.
I personally am going to get it just because I do enjoy the Overwatch games, and I like to. I'm not out there to support the people. I'm there to support my habits.
I enjoy freedom of speech.
As do I.
Sure
I
you
mean,
do.
it is a constitutional right in America, but not in
So,
all countries.
anyway, on the topic of Hong Kong and the takeover from China, a lot of people have a lot of different solutions to what we're going to do. I think we need to put a UN international peacekeeping force in there and keep the Chinese government from sending in tanks and shit. So instead of it just being America and us throwing around our power, we have the entire United Nations in there. That way China can't get too solery with us when we get in there.
Because all of the United Nations will be in there, so
it
not
breaks
just
out.
America.
It prevents a war. It shuts down China, and it keeps international security. And I think it's a good idea. It might go wrong. I'd like your opinion, Darian, since you're somebody today.
Alright, well, I guess since I'm standing for Elon Musk...
By the way, our friend Darian here isn't much of a news follower, so give him a little leniency.
Well, what was the topic again? Because you fucking had to go off about me
No,
being somebody.
I was trying to explain to him.
Why would you send in UN instead
If you have an ignorant point, we're saying we should
What are
set
your
up
opinions on the Hong Kong
Hold
thing
on.
with China?
International peacekeeping force. What do you think we ought to send one in? If so, why? If not, why not?
Well, I do believe that only because they are... Well, this is off topic, but Tiananmen Square, nothing happened there, but...
We're not allowed to talk about that.
Oh, okay.
We'd like to keep the Chinese government happy,
Okay.
asshole.
Why, fuck you. Well, yes, I believe we should send one in only because that it would, like you said, keep peace in. They can't really start a war with the whole UN. Like, if we just had American tanks in there, then they could easily start a war with us. It might not go well, but they could easily do that. But if the whole UN's in there, they're not going to do anything about it, and it'll keep peace in Hong Kong, and it'll keep lots of lives saved. Really, like
JD.
Well, I have two opinions on this. The first opinion is, of course, there's the Hong Kong thing, which is a terrible tragedy. But thinking of this on an economic standpoint, China is a big producer of a lot of our goods.
like everything.
Almost everything. We're slowly beginning to make more stuff in America again, which I support fully. It boosts our economy greatly. And with us trying to, if we were to go into China and deal with
Would
all
you
that,
say it's a boon to our economy?
What? Don't ever make a joke like that again.
I hate you.
Continue.
But anyways, like I was, they are a major factor in our economy, and I don't think that we should necessarily limit that. I do see how, well, of course, communists, but I like money.
Right. So you're coming at this as an economic angle. Another reason I suggest an international peacekeeping force instead of just sending in American troops and pissing off the Asians, Chinese, sorry, not Asians. It's highly insensitive on my part. I do apologize to anyone who may feel offended. This is, of course, the SJW show. Anyway, as I was saying, the reason we should send in an international peacekeeping force is they can't pin that on America without making the UN feel emasculated in a way, and that if they just put that all on America, the UN would be like, hey, wait a minute, are you saying they run the UN? Which we do, but we can't say we do. So I think if we sent the international peacekeeping force in, if they took direct action against America for that, they'd be frowned on by the international community instead of just us being upset.
And that would destroy their economy even more.
Right. They would.
Yeah.
The Chinese do 100% rely on the American economy.
Yeah.
Also, another thing is they could, if we just sent American troops, and they could put an import and export ban on us, so that we wouldn't get.
Well, when we send in the troops, they would.
So
do it
we all
anyways.
agree on the international peacekeeping.
But
force,
they won't.
correct?
They won't put it on us since the UN is part of all countries that
All
are
right.
part of the UN.
So you guys do think that's a good idea, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing. Everybody thinks that's a good idea. Nobody doesn't want to do this. So why don't we? See, the problem is the United Nations is slowly falling apart at the seams, as the League of Nations did before World War One. Not World War I, World War II. See, and we all know how that went. Hitler was like, hey, I want Czechoslovakia. The League of Nations was like, all right, take it. Mussolini was like, hey, I'm going to take Ethiopia. The League of Nations was like, hey, take it. And now we have the United Nations going, hey, China is going, hey, I want Hong Kong, and we're saying, hey, take it.
But Hong Kong is also technically part of China.
Do you think?
No. Hong Kong is not part of China.
It's an individual nation, but it's also part of.
That used to be part of the.
The treaty is, as long as they're basically a tributary state. As long as they pay a certain stuff to China won't take hostile actions against them.
Mm-hmm.
Something along those lines. I'm not terribly informed about that.
Yes,
but
I'm not very informed on the Chinese government and how that works.
Anyway, as I was saying, I think that the UN is cowering in the face of China, and I think that the UN either needs to be reformed or disbanded, because America is wasting a lot of money on the United Nations for them to sit around and do nothing but support countries that are sitting there.
And also with the amount of
debt
we're in, like we're about to reach the maximum cap that they're trying to set, because our dollar is getting worth nothing, like soon.
Our economy is going up quite a bit, though.
Hey, buddy, we're starting on one topic. Don't bring up another.
I'm
Need a lot of topics.
I know.
That is a large topic.
No, I was just bringing it up to the point that if we our economy, if we keep spending more money on something like
But
the
that's
UN,
a good time to transition into the debt, Darian. First episode, guys. So that's a good time to transition into talking about the debt. But right now, we're not trying to transition. We're trying to talk about the UN. Good thinking, though.
This is why you're somebody.
This is why I'm not gonna be here.
You'll be here.
Yeah, you'll be here quite a bit. JD, so what do you think?
Oh,
UN,
wait.
should we
Wait, I
reform
had
it,
a point.
disband it?
I had a thing to say too.
All right,
If we send American troops in, our friend here, who is going to be an active Marine soon, which I may or may not be stepping in for till he gets back from basic training on when you ship out.
The 27th of July, I will be leaving for boot camp in the Marines.
Well, you know when you'll get back?
I will be back for 10 days leave before I am shipped out. I will be, I think it'll be around October. It'll be before Halloween for sure.
Are you gonna go on a tour?
No, I'm not going to be in...
Oh, you're not gonna be.
You're not active duty?
No, I'm active duty. Why are we talking about this right now? This is...
Because it's back to the point of
This is episode 1, dude.
That was a fair point. Anyways, but as you were saying about the UN and how we should reform it, I can see how we would need to reform it, just because, just like you said with the League of Nations, it seems to be falling apart.
Right.
And
see, I think part of the reason it's falling apart is we have all these countries that are tiny, committing war crimes, and I think it was, I can't remember who said this specifically. I think it was George Bush Sr. He went to the UN and he came back and he said all the countries who had the loudest voices and spoke the most were the small ones who mattered the least. So like countries like Somalia, what are other countries? South Sudan, North Sudan, all these countries that are breaking international law, just completely destroying any sense of humanity they have, are being given say, and then we don't do anything to be like, hey, stop this, we're gonna do something about it. They just, they end up just throwing around their power, and now we have a way to get these countries with illegitimate governments that are committing war crimes on the daily, we give them a way to speak on the international community and make decisions for America, which is paying for a large chunk of the UN for no reason at the moment, since they're not going to do anything to step in for Hong Kong, a free city.
Yeah, on the topic of the UN, do you think if America left, it would be disbanded?
I think if America left, the UN would lose a lot of legitimacy as we were one of their founding members. They'd lose most of their funding. And I think unless the countries that are in there want to be controlled by Germany and China, yeah, I think it would be disbanded in the long term. Maybe replaced, maybe not. Somehow I doubt it would be.
What do you think the major effects
of
the UN disband, like if it were to disband, would be?
Let me finish my thoughts. But also, if the UN were to be disbanded, I think one of the most immediate things America would save quite a bit of money on that. Not enough to be noticeable in our debt, obviously, but we'd save quite a bit of money on that deal. I think smaller nations would stop influencing the politics of larger nations. I think with the UN collapsing, it'd fall back even more on America than it does now for national security matters, which kind of bothers me, as I, weirdly enough, I'm not a big interventionalist, even though I'm joining the Marines. It's just something I'm not for. So that is something that does bother me. What would happen if we disbanded them? The problem is, if we just always ask what if and we never act, we're never going to get anything done. It's kind of like how recently Trump pulled out of Syria. Mm-hmm. We were going to need to do that at some point. Our troops were there for no reason. There wasn't going to be a good time to pull out.
That is not true.
Darian, stop interrupting me mid-sentence. You can point that out afterwards, dude.
All right, your statement was incorrect. We were there to guard the Kurds that were trusted allies, and we just left them.
The Kurds were also terrorists. There's not a lot of good through and through. There's a lot of grays, Darian. The Kurds weren't entirely good.
Well,
they've helped us, but before ISIS took over, what was it, Afghanistan? Was it ISIS or Al-Qaeda? Yeah, we used to support Al-Qaeda too. They used to be an ally of America because they were fighting the Soviet Union. Mm-hmm. We used to consider them a great ally. The Kurds have what's the name of their terrorist organization? The Hamas, I think it is. I could be wrong on that. I know there was a terrorist. I don't think it's Hamas. Anyway, they also have terrorist groups that they support loosely. I think the problem is, whenever we left, the Kurds were going to get attacked. I think the way we did it, and I think Trump was very smart on this. I don't support Trump on everything he has done. Like when he tried to put what was that? The G7? What was it? G9? Whatever.
I think it was the G9.
Yeah, the G9. He tried to do that in his own casino, which I see why he did it, but that was a horrible PR decision.
I mean, he is a businessman.
Businessmen
make mistakes.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, that's why they have PR places. So I think that was dumb on his part, but also really smart. It would have been a great place to hold it, and I think it would have been one of the best ones. But with the situation we have in America politically right now, it just wasn't a smart move on his behalf. Mm-hmm. Anyway, as I was saying about the Kurds, they're an ally, but so is Saudi Arabia. And we just captured 2 spies spying on us from Saudi Arabia. So we have allies in the Middle East. But do we really have allies in the Middle East?
There are a lot of just backstabbing countries.
I think the way we did it was gonna happen eventually. We were gonna leave the Middle East. We need to. It's destroying our economy in many ways. We're there for no reason. That's how. That's part of the reason that led to the Soviet downfall. Was they were intervened in Afghanistan for so long. It was destroying their country, and they just didn't have a reason to be there anymore. So we pulled out, and I think the way we did it was very smart. We let them fight for a few days. Trump said, "Hey, I'm going to get a deal done between these 2 nations so we don't look bad," and then we got the oil, which is the terrorist primary source of funding. I think the way we did it was smart. It was going to happen eventually. No matter how we did it, it was going to seem like a very, very risky move. But we did it, and that's what needs to be done in most of the Middle East. There's a lot of places we need to stay in, and there's a lot of places we need to leave. There's just no reason to be there anymore. And once we leave, it's going to be chaos, but it's going to happen at some point. But America can't keep being the world's janitors. It's not. There needs to be, like I said about the UN, they need to step in these places, or they just need to bug off entirely.
Yeah.
What do you think, JD? Any problems with anything I said there?
You had a good point about the communism thing.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the Soviet Union, it was falling apart due to the fact that it was going into those areas and they were trying to intervene with all that stuff. But I mean, once again, the whole communism thing.
Well, like I said, they added to it. I didn't say it was the primary cause, because they also had they were trying to keep Eastern Europe under their control at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to oppress and murder their people, like all Chinese communists do. China. But
Let's not get censored quite yet.
anyway, yeah, no, I agree with you. It wasn't the only reason, but it was a contributing factor.
I mean,
it also led to the military deeply despising Stalin, which shouldn't be a problem in America based on how much we love our military, send them support. It's destroying our economy to be in all these places for no reason.
Yeah, and one thing that the Soviets, they spent a lot of funding on the space race, of course.
Right.
And all I'm saying is they spent a lot of money on that, because when we were trying to get into space,
Hey, Darren, you on the camera? I'm trying to stare at you, buddy.
Yeah.
Why are they trying to stare?
Stop slouching.
I'm trying to.
They were on the verge of getting to the moon, like the same time we were. They had a rocket. I forget what the rocket was. They had
Sputnik?
No,
That's
was,
American.
I think it was the R.
No, it wasn't.
I think it was the R7 is what it was.
Yeah,
was the
you
one
know
that
more
said
about
that
this than I do.
Yeah.
Sputnik's the
With
one
the
that
satellite.
said
There was a satellite. The thing was the R7. It was one of the biggest rockets that had ever been made.
Right.
And they were ready. They were doing test runs, and it blew up.
Right. So what?
What's
your point in this, though?
All I'm saying is that they spent a lot of money
On futile stuff.
on futile stuff.
Right. And Darian, what you're trying to say something, buddy?
I just had a question on how we came from talking about Blizzard and then got to why Russian.
It's
Russian
called
Darian, it's called transitions.
We didn't transition.
You're ruining the aesthetic of the show.
No.
You're ruining how
No,
easily we smoothly transition.
We smoothly transitioned to another thing, but you called me out on it.
He's not wrong.
Well, right, but we literally were just starting on something.
did
you
just
said
start
you were
on
changing
something.
it. Like, that's
Yeah,
not
but
the problem.
We went from something to another thing, and you called me
Hey,
out.
we'll go to the debt, buddy, but you need to give us time to develop our ideas. If we're not talking about anything.
Speaking of debt, the Soviets
hold on.
got so much debt from that.
Anyway, before we completely kill off U.S. interventionism and the UN, because we were still talking about that, I think we need to stay in some places, because if we leave certain places in the Middle East, the entire world is probably going to go to hell in a handbasket, just like that. And I think we need to find a better way of stabilizing these countries, because clearly the way we've been doing it doesn't work. We can't keep killing off their leaders and just replacing with different leaders who we eventually kill off in another 4 years or get killed off. We need to find a way to instill democracy into their cultures without it being by force. I don't know what needs to be done, but the way we're doing it doesn't work. I'm not a professional in that area, but clearly that if we don't do this in time, a terrorist is going to get a hold of a nuke, and that's going to end everything. So we need to figure this out. We need to figure it out quick, but in the meantime, America has got to stop covering for the UN's ass.
It's kind of like back in the day with like Christianity stuff that was forced upon people.
Right.
Yeah.
Christianity used to be a shitty religion.
Fact.
And I'm an avid Christian. These two aren't, obviously. I am, though.
Obviously.
Not. I don't know why I said obviously. But Christianity has very violent roots. But the thing about Christianity is it's reformed, right?
Yeah.
Catholicism.
Anyway, we're not talking about religion. I don't want to step on people's toes in episode 1. The bottom line is we need to find a way to fix this quick. And the UN either needs to step its game up, or we need to find a replacement.
Yeah, reform needs to happen.
Right. Just like reform needs to happen with the U.S. debt, Darian, as you were trying to talk about. So
Yes.
please, enlighten us on what you're going to say.
I had another point back on the thing in the Middle East.
Right.
You know how you said that there's people that, like, places that we need to stay and stuff? They
Right.
are keeping, like, military troops on the oil fields and stuff so the
Right.
terrorists can't get a hold of money. but also they did take.
Well, they can still get a hold of money.
Fully,
the oil isn't their only access. But continue.
It's their main. But,
no, their main is from governments.
Fact.
Well, yeah.
Terrorizing towns.
Saudi Arabia, our ally, actually tends to fund a lot of terrorists.
Yeah, well, the Kurds, I don't fully agree with you, only because you said that they're like...
I think it's the Northern Alliance is the name of their terrorist group.
Yeah.
I think it's the Northern Alliance.
Oh, no. I
Continue.
I'm not informed.
But the Kurds, like, I don't agree with you because you said that most of them, there's a lot of gray areas, yes, but you said most of them are like, they're not good to us.
I didn't say most of them.
You did say most.
You did say most.
No, I said in general it's a gray area.
In general is most.
No, what I'm trying to say
It's
is
a
they're
gray
not
area.
totally our
It's
ally.
like saying that we were allies with the Soviet Union, which we were at one point, but we did not like the Soviet
Listen,
Union.
all I'm trying to tell you, Darren, is I trust the Kurds about as much as I trust Saudi Arabia.
Well, back to what you were saying, Russia was the better of two evils between Germany and Russia. So
Yes.
Highly debatable.
I mean...
Russia
Stalin-
killed millions more people than Hitler did. Hitler just had a more evil look and didn't fight on our side.
I mean,
had Hitler fought on our side against Stalin, Stalin would have been the evil guy. I firmly believe that. I think they were both extremely evil, but lesser of two evils is highly debatable. I think they were both extremely evil. The only difference is Stalin had more people to kill, and they were on our side.
He
so they get a
also
lot
had
less
good
flack.
hair.
He had a very beautiful mustache. We call him Papa Stalin for a reason.
well, Stalin did send in troops that didn't even have weapons or clothing.
Well,
they just
And children.
All right, well,
yeah.
think of it this way.
Anyway, we're getting off topic there.
All right.
As you were saying, the U.S. debt, Darian.
Yeah, well, the U.S. debt, as we are all seniors in high school, and in government the other day we were actually researching...
Today.
No, it was
It
not
was
today.
yesterday.
It was
I thought it was today.
2 days ago,
I'm gonna
actually.
get more coffee.
It was 2 days ago.
Hey, yo, dog.
It's good. It's
Hey,
okay.
JD.
It's okay.
Fill up my lid with that stuff.
Well, on the U.S. debt, we are getting to a cap that, well, our U.S. dollar is not going to be worth much, if not
Debatable.
at all.
It's not about the dollar. It's about
It's not back to gold and silver. That's
no.
the thing.
That's
what's
no. Listen,
Used to.
our dollar, the American dollar right now is the world's gold and silver. Every single country's currency is based off the American dollar.
I mean,
the problem
not
isn't
true.
with our currencies devaluing. The problem we have with the debt is that eventually it's going to come to such a level that countries are going to stop lending to us.
But you as
But the
what you
debt-
said was that all of the currencies based off of U.S. currency.
Right, it
but
is.
if that was the thing,
No,
the,
it is.
the currency would, like in some countries, wouldn't be depleted to basically nothing.
No, it is because when
Oh,
you
it-
compare it to the USD, it's not worth very much.
Yeah,
That's
I
why
mean, have you been to
Hey, if you
Japan,
look-
the yen?
Listen, I went to
Yeah.
JD Darian. I went to Germany, right?
Yeah.
When I went to Germany, I went through a lot of airports. I exchanged money. Everything they had was compared to the United States dollar. Not the euro, not the yen,
Well, the euro
not
doesn't
the
matter.
peso. They were
Neither does the
compared to
peso.
the,
Oh, God,
the
don't
United
compare to
States
the peso.
dollar. So
Remember, like,
There's
the
like
thing
1,000
is,
pesos to $1.
the golden standard is outdated.
Well, technically, as
I invest in gold personally.
yes,
No, having gold is smart, but golden standard for an entire nation is it's not easily maintained with the amount of money that America is using right now and the amount of gold in the planet. It's just something that is outdated. We have too many people, too many resources. It's just not something that's it's not
Feasible?
it's not economical anymore, right? So, and because you'd be dividing gold by so much, it'd be such a small piece of gold. It's just the gold standard used
gold's
to be good.
still worth a lot. Though.
No, gold is worth
Gold's
a lot,
worth
but
a
you
lot, but
can't
backing the
backing
dollar
yeah,
by
that's just
gold.
not. It's not.
There's
something,
not enough of it.
Yeah.
And
to
plus,
do
that's
that
the-
fluctuates so much.
But the thing is, instead of gold, now it's the United States dollar. And if that's the problem, though, if the United States dollar crashes, the entire world's going to go to hell in a handbasket quick. And I keep saying that, but it's going to be a very big problem. So that's why a lot of countries can't just fully
So,
attack America.
A little
'Cause
off
if we
topic,
plummet our currency, a lot of people are going to be in
a
trouble.
little off topic, just sort of a side note there, but what are your thoughts on, I'm trying to think of where it is. I think it's like one of the most priceless jewels that we have is diamonds, of course. But I think it's Saturn, that it rains diamonds there. What do you think that would do to our economy if we were able to theoretically
Actually,
harvest that?
hold on a minute. I just want to say this right now. There is so much diamond in the world right now as we speak that diamond should technically not be worth a lot right now. The problem isn't that the diamond
hard to get.
is rare.
It's
It's
the
that
cut.
people are hoarding it in such high amounts so that they can sell diamonds for a high price and make money off it. The problem isn't that diamond is rare, it's that we let Mooguls get a hold of it and now it's
Moogle.
Yeah, you know, like tech Moogle. I don't know.
Moogle.
Did I use that word right?
It's
I
Moogle.
assume
It's
I did.
Moogle.
Moogle. I'm from the South, y'all. I can say whatever the hell. Anyway, that probably offended a few Southerners. I loved it down there. But my point is, it's not necessarily that it's a rare mineral.
0 viewers.
The problem is that people keep it and make it rare. It's like a story I saw about a Pokemon. Like, every Pokemon is common, but if you were technically in the Pokemon universe, you caught every single one of these Pokemon, and then you put them all in like some basket somewhere and hid them away, and you just kept one, that'd suddenly be the most rare Pokemon on the planet. It's kind of like that. So I don't think it'd tank our economy. I think that they just keep those
Sort of like people that actually collected the cards.
Right.
There was certain cards that were the shinies. I have a couple of them, actually. I have Charizard.
No one cares what cards you have. What are you saying?
It's a...
He's a Pokemon connoisseur.
Shut up.
Leave him alone.
No, I'm not connoisseur. I just like the cards. It's a Charizard, it's a shiny, and it's in the original Japanese print.
Right.
So there was tons of those cards, but so many people hoarded them, so many people ended up like getting rid of them and selling them, that those cards are worth a lot now.
Right. It's supply and demand.
Exactly.
There's not very much supply. Right, so like you start out with a lot of supply, a lot of demand. Suddenly, you, as a person, you take a lot of that supply. Then you got another buddy over there in Asia. He takes a lot of supply. You got somebody in Eastern Europe. He takes a lot of the supply because Eastern Europeans are crafty like that. And suddenly, it's worth a lot more than you have. So the price goes way up here, and the value's down here. So that also helps explain why raising the minimum wage wouldn't help you very much, as much as you'd like it. Because then you have a lot more stock. Same.
It's not gonna change.
I don't think that we should raise the minimum wage, but I just want to bring out a thing that I heard the other day that sort of piqued my interest. It was a story about this this dad that was talking to his son, and his son was talking about how he wants to raise the minimum wage and everything, which, and his dad was like, "Oh, why is that? Why is that?"
Hey, listen, I know we're called the SJW, but before he continues his thoughts, I like to think that millennials are very ignorant. As a general thing, they are very socialist. I think that colleges have.
Okay, boomer.
Oh my bad.
But anyway, like I was saying. Anyways, but the story it went, and the dad's like, "Oh, I survived up to $6 an hour," and
the prices weren't the same.
This father, he's like, "Oh, I survived $6 an hour," and this kid's complaining about only having 10 or whatever it was, or I don't know where it was exactly, but this.
That was a weird accent there for a minute.
Shut up. As they started going into the economy and stuff,
It'd be real funny if that wasn't recording.
It is still. If you go, it's a 20.
Check to give me coffee,
25. As it was going,
dump the water out.
Where?
They put it in. They put it into a
That works.
Calculator to determine inflation rates and stuff. But as he looked at it.
27 minutes. Well, you see, I would do that, Wyatt.
In our economy.
I didn't say you'd get me coffee.
Yes, you did. You said
just
check
grabbed for my cup and I said dump the water out.
You said check the water while you gave me some coffee. Or check
Anyways,
the time.
Whatever, I don't care.
They put it into a calculator to see what it was in our current value.
Right, and it's like $25.
It's $25.
Listen, here's the deal with that. I get that people want more money, and there's a lot of problems with capitalism, right? It's, as Winston Churchill said about democracy is the best form of government until you talk to the average voter. It's kind of similar with capitalism. Yeah. It's the best thing we've got. That doesn't make it perfect. We still have problems, right? But the problem with minimum wage is... What are you pointing at?
I think I heard the mouse in there.
I don't care about the mouse right now. The problem with
Gerald?
raising minimum wage is I don't think that's going to help us. I think that boat has sailed. If we wanted to do anything with minimum wage, we should set it so that it increases with inflation.
Yeah.
That would make it work, right? So that it increases with inflation, businesses don't have an excuse to raise their prices and shit because they raised minimum wage.
Yeah.
But we didn't do that. We could do that now. Too little, too late. But you need to think of it this way also. Minimum wage is for like working at a gas station for somebody who doesn't have any skills. They're doing this as a high school job. Yeah, me and him working at a gas station, no skills. It's for people who start out. It's for high schoolers. It's not meant for starting a family, right? You see a lot of these posts online. It's like, oh, well, back then it was made for starting a family. Yeah, well, back then you'd be doing a lot better jobs and still be paying minimum wage.
You could buy a house for a couple $1,000s back then. Nowadays, you...
I mean, that's
right,
still...
Well, that's not my point. My point is you could work a much better job. Like today's standards would pay you a lot more than a minimum wage job, and you'd still be getting minimum wage because it was so high.
They also didn't have the opportunities you do now.
Right. And the bottom line is, minimum wage, we could increase it if you don't understand how supply and demand works. I think the best thing we could do right now is make a bill so it increases with inflation. Other than that, we need to leave it alone, and you just need to get a better skill set. It's hard, it's tough, but that's just how it is.
It's grueling work, honestly, but it's like college. Like you're also going to the military so you can get.
Well, I'm getting a degree for free. I'm gonna have pride in my unit. I think I'm gonna be happy in the military. This is why I'm going there.
See, and we're doing two separate paths. We're going through similar jobs.
And just so you guys know, me and JD, same brain. We disagree on a few things, but in general, we have the same brain. So you'll know how this works out when we both leave, because we are very similar people in a lot of ways. Like one day, I was thinking about how many minutes I've been alive. I calculated it. Not an hour later, this man sent me a message about how many minutes alive he's been. It's like it's crazy. We think on the same spectrum.
Yeah, but what were we just talking about? The inflation.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Minimum wage.
Minimum wage. Yes. That goes back to sort of back when they first started working in factories and stuff, and people started complaining about how they weren't getting paid enough. And
the unions, actually. This makes me want to talk about unions. All right, screw minimum wage. That's a boring topic. We all know enough about it. You already have your opinions. Unions, people don't talk about often, right? So we have unions today. Darian, you think they're necessary? I know a lot of people are like, I watched a video, actually, of one of my favorite YouTubers. Can't name him here. Or I could. I'd give him a shout out. Nobody here gives a shit. There's going to be like 4 viewers. The bottom line is, this YouTuber I was watching, he was a football YouTuber, he said, so you either believe that unions are necessary or you're an asshole. I don't think that's true at all. I think that's a very ignorant view, much of the leftist side of the aisle.
Unions were necessary during their time.
I think unions can be necessary, and they need to be formed when it's necessary, but when they're not necessary, they need to go to hell. Darian, what are your thoughts on unions? Do you know much about unions?
I don't know a whole lot, but also that statement was a little bit over the top.
Aggressive, right?
A little aggressive.
That's how I feel about it. I'm going to tell you how I feel. I'm very open like that. JD knows I don't have much of a filter. I'm trying my best here not to curse. I curse quite a bit. Darian, what do you know about unions? Just tell us in general what you know, so we know where you're coming from when you give us your opinion.
Well, give me just a basic
hold on. Tell us what you think. And
just hear me out. Don't stop interrupting me like you said.
Stop talking.
I did stop talking. I asked a question.
All right, continue.
Okay, I just said give me a basic definition of what your viewpoint of a union is.
So, do you remember back last year we were watching The Man Who Built America?
Yeah.
The unions formed because they were not being treated well enough.
Talk about that?
Yeah,
it's a show. It's fine.
It's a show. It's fine.
No, but they formed because they weren't getting treated fairly. They believed that they needed.
So it was like in the 20s when workers' rights were shit.
Yeah.
So what they do is they'd do worker strikes and they'd refuse to work, and then they until they raised the pay, raised worker conditions, and raised time off.
Honestly, a kind of a side note from that, I believe like teachers should be, because they are the basis.
Wait, we'll get to teachers. I promise you, this is going to lead to teachers. But for now, let's talk about unions. Listen, we're going to get to the teachers' unions. Now keep talking. What do you think about?
You're talking about like workers' unions?
Yeah,
so you know
what the coal mines and stuff.
So do you think they're necessary in modern times? If so, why? If not, why not?
Why
not? We need this fan on here.
Well, it's kind of a bias. Like yes and no.
Hey, just come on, tell
us. I know. Like you said, in times of need, yes, but also in times of need, like you don't need them, then no. Like they're not useful when you don't.
Do you think we need them right now?
I mean, I feel like no.
And if yes, which field? You can just say which fields need them, and if you don't specify, we'll just assume you don't think they need them.
Yes, because of for coal mines and stuff, they need them because they're because of what not being
coal miners get paid a lot of money. They get compensated.
I mean, they're getting better, but they were down there for a while. They got shut down.
That's just the economy.
Yeah,
crashed.
no. What happened then was Obama fucked over the
coal workers. I was gonna say I was trying not be like.
No.
Be like that.
Hey, this is the SJW show. We're gonna be honest here. We piss off a few liberals. That's their fault.
We're gonna piss off both sides of the parties, honestly.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna piss off the right. I'm probably not going to. Like me and JD, we try not to. We're both anarcho-capitalists. There you go.
I'm not anarcho-capitalist. I am a centrist, and I need to be purged.
We need to purge the centrists.
Yeah, I was gonna say JD's a very.
If you're not on the extreme right, left, north, or south, we need to kill you. All right, so JD,
Why you can't say that?
He's a centrist too.
Dude, yeah, we're gonna have to kill me too, dude. I solidly believe I need to be murdered before this world gets
That's
better.
why I'm in the center of the couch.
That's why, yeah.
Centrist.
Why you're on the left? Why you're on the
Anyway,
left?
So no, what happened to the coal miners wasn't that the companies could no longer afford to pay them because they were getting paid well. Like if you go back before Obama was in office, when George Bush Jr. was in office, they were getting paid really well. But then Obama came in, he added a ton of regulations. Literally, he was trying to make it so they were obsolete and inoperable. That's what he was trying to do. So eventually,
I'm gonna butt in real quick, okay? I do understand because he was trying to become greener, but we didn't have the technology and stuff at the time to do
full
green.
Me and JD and Darian, I disagree with these two on what climate change is and how it works, and they disagree with me. We'll just get that out of the way now. I believe, and we're going to say our statements now, and we're probably going to end up repeating this a lot because it's the first episode, nobody's going to give a shit, no one's going to watch it. My stance on global warming is it's real. The climate is changing, but I think humans have a small impact on it, but I think that humans' impact on it is negligible at best. I think that no matter how much it changes, unless it's extreme, the most extreme examples of it are like a few degrees Celsius, right? So, not Celsius, Fahrenheit, sorry.
That's still a lot.
No, it's really not.
I mean,
and in the end, I think it's going to have little to no effect on the human life. Right now, polar bears are actually doing extremely well. They try to hide that from you.
That's because they're moving farther down south.
Which they can do.
They can do, yeah.
Right, and I think, it's
like birds.
In my opinion,
for their better.
For the human race as a whole, it's more beneficial for us to use this stuff while we have it instead of just shutting it off, destroying our economies, and starving millions.
Yeah, I agree with you there because, our technological curve is going up right now.
And what I think is going to happen is we're going to invent fusion energy, and literally every other form of energy is going to be obsolete. But until then, keep burning gasoline, keep burning oil, keep using coal.
A side note of what I was saying.
It's cheaper, it's more efficient.
What you were saying was, not going to say it, but a YouTuber right now who believes on our point of view of global warming.
Mr. Beast.
Hold on, what do you guys state your point of view?
Okay, I'm just going to comment.
Okay.
I believe that global warming is a thing. I think that, I'm not going to say global warming, climate change. Because when you say global warming, it gets confused with the
because global warming had a bunch of documents leaked by WikiLeaks proving it was a lot of false
Please
data.
show me your information.
I don't have any papers in front of me. We should have prepared this earlier. Anyway, continue.
Okay, this isn't Louder with Crowder.
Right, you're right.
Okay, but anyways, I think that climate change is a thing. I think that our CO2 output is a thing. I think that
we definitely put out CO2. That is the truth.
Not primarily in the U.S. We are a large portion, but I think China is the highest.
No, it's like China, then India, then Russia, and then us, and then the UN.
I can see Russia. I can see Russia, honestly.
No, but India is way worse than Russia.
Well, India has the most population out of any.
India and China make up, I think it's somewhere around 60%. I could be wrong. If we're wrong, shout at us in the comments. We don't care. Mm-hmm. We don't actually give a single shit.
I will read all of them.
And if we cuss and you guys don't want us to cuss, also tell us that. We are, if family-friendly people want to watch us, if kids want to watch us, we'll stop cussing. You guys just tell us in the comments.
If your kids want to listen, go ahead.
If you don't care if we cuss, also tell us. We need as much feedback as we can get.
Feedback.
Well, all right, my point of view is...
Hold on. Do you think... How much do you think CO2 affects our atmosphere and our heat?
I mean, I can't say for sure.
Right? Because you don't know for sure, do you?
Nobody knows for sure.
Nobody does. That's correct.
Yeah,
that is correct.
But I do see there is science backing the idea that
the Earth is warming.
The Earth is
warming. And that we are increasing our CO2, correct?
Yes. And but causation, like you said, always say
correlation is not causation.
Exactly.
Right? So as we have progressed through the ages, our technology has required us to put out CO2. But also, we're coming out of a small ice age, and the Earth is warming. So I think that maybe we're warming, we're putting out CO2, and I think personally, and I could be entirely wrong, I could just be an uninformed idiot, I think the left is trying to leverage this as an excuse to rally up fear. Because if you look back, I think it's 40 years or so, it was global cooling, and people were terrified about that until we started destroying the ozone layer, which I think...
Hairspray.
Yeah, hairspray mostly caused that. Did you see all those 90s chicks have frilly eyes?
Yeah, hairspray was
Why did people like that? Anyway, Darian, what were you going to say?
I think that we are speeding it up. Not to the degree that it's going to happen instantly. I think that we're
Quit interrupting.
Our thing is
Darian.
slow. Our thing.
Somebody. All right? Continue, Jake.
We are putting stuff out that is speeding it up. I think that we do need to look at that. I think we need to reassess because the human race has treated our planet poorly.
I think, I agree with that. I think we've cut down trees that never needed to be cut down, especially in France. Back in the medieval era, this is a good example. We needed big trees for catapults. France cut down its biggest trees. That's a tragedy. Sorry. We don't need, there's certain things we don't need to be doing. We don't need to destroy the sequoias, right? We don't need to pollute our rivers. We don't need to kill off all these animal species. We don't need to go hunting rhinos until they go extinct. Humans do shitty stuff, man. We hurt our environment. But when it comes to CO2 output, I don't think it has a noticeable enough effect to actually warrant us panicking and completely reforming our economy like the Green New Deal does. Darian, what do you think, buddy?
I don't know. I don't know if I should have a viewpoint here as somebody that gets told that I can't fucking speak. Even though you interrupt everyone, but then I say something and you like to be a dickhead.
I've been trying to let you talk, man.
No, JD, every time you spoke.
I just...
Darian, what's your opinion?
All I'm going to say is that we...
Hey, say it all. Don't hold back.
Shh. How am I supposed to speak when you're interrupting me?
Listen, I'm not going to interrupt you. You said all I'm going to say. No, just say it all, dude.
Yeah.
That's what the point
Pour
of the
it out.
podcast is.
I know. JD basically said what my viewpoint is that you said that the few degrees in Fahrenheit isn't a big change, but going back to like science, like what degree does water freeze at? 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Exactly.
Although I've seen it snow at 35.
Well, I mean salt water too.
True. Salt water takes a lower degree actually to freeze, but if you raise that degree higher, everything's going to start melting because the degree gets hot.
Right. But
it's
here's
higher.
the thing. You're assuming, right, that's going to have a huge impact, right? We're having 2 degrees up, right? It's always 32 degrees. Suddenly it's 34. No, that's not how it works. It's sometimes there are times here in Wyoming where it's like negative 34 degrees outside. 2 degrees Celsius isn't going to start to snow.
And then the next day it is 42.
Yeah, it's literally insane. So like we
don't live in Wyoming. Why
2 degrees.
Conspiracy?
Yeah, that is true.
Wyoming is not real.
Listen, guys. First episode no one's going to watch, so I feel safe telling you this. We're government agents. All right.
Yeah, Wyoming doesn't exist. If you think you're in Wyoming, you're in a lab.
Also, if you mention this after episode 1, we're going to eliminate you. People who watch episode 1 get that insider information, but we know who you are.
We know where you live also. We will find you.
Anyway.
Is that a threat?
Anyway, Darren, as I was saying...
Actually, it was a quote taken, but...
The Earth is not... It's not uniform, right?
Yeah.
It changes
especially in the Arctic.
constantly.
In the Arctic, it's like constantly negative 10 degrees. So 2 degrees isn't going to like murder everything.
I just want to pop
It's going to have effects in certain areas. Certain areas it's going to not change stuff. Certain areas it's going to have a big effect.
Also, like you were saying it raises to 2 degrees now. What's going to happen when it keeps raising 2 degrees?
No, it's like 2 degrees in 100 years.
That's
not
still...
2 degrees now.
I want to pop up with something that... Side note, little cool fact here. There is...
Can you just say it?
Yeah, there is a cool club in... it's called the 300 Club.
I thought you were going to say the KKK. I was about to say, dude,
no. The 300 Club is... I think it's Antarctica that they have their bases and stuff. And people will go into saunas that are 200 degrees. They'll warm their body up. Then they... Wait, where's the South Pole? Is that...
South Pole's in the south, south of Argentina.
I know, but like... Antarctica, north, south. I can't think.
Antarctica would be north.
Yeah. Well, whatever the South Pole is.
Antarctica is south. If you look at a map,
No. Antarctica, right? That's the
south.
one with the continent, correct?
Anyway,
Yes,
south.
That's in the north.
Anyway,
That
down
is south.
No, you know all those islands coming off Canada? That's because it's leading to the continent of Antarctica.
the cold
is
south. The cold
island.
south area on the south side of the planet.
Well, what is it called?
What's it called?
No, I just find that funny, alright? It's
Because
ignorant on my part,
None
too.
of us know. But anyways, there's the 300 Club. You warm yourself up in a 200-degree sauna. Then you run out into the negative 100 below. You have to touch the South Pole almost completely naked and run back.
That sounds horrible to me.
And that's the 300 Club.
Anyway, because you're doing a whole 300-degree shift. That's clever.
fucking terrible. How did you not die from that?
Crap,
Yes.
I had something to say. Right, anyway,
Is your body able to withstand 200
You warm it up into
degrees?
200 degrees.
so since we're talking about
Yes.
the environment, And we disagree on global warming and CO2 effects. That's all right. Disagreements need to happen for human beings to be interesting.
Statement on
Oh yeah,
We thought you were
we
done. Sorry,
did.
JD
I interrupted. Sorry.
Yeah,
We do apologize humbly. It is the first episode after all.
Well, back to what I was saying about like the YouTubers. He has the same viewpoint as this, Mr. Beast, who is planting trees, which
Having a lot of money doesn't make you smart.
Who I'm
I
standing,
mean, Elon Musk.
who I'm standing in for right now has donated 1 million trees to
Yeah, good for Elon Musk.
yeah, which all of these people that he is a scientist, he's the leader.
He's an engineer.
He is an engineer.
Yes, but he also started SpaceX.
Listen.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm gonna say, Darian, before you finish this, just because you're rich and you own a wealthy business and you're very smart does not mean you know everything about
I didn't
everything.
say
right?
you.
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
say you knew
like-
everything about everything.
Just he is trying to help, and having trees is good. I think we need more trees. I think what he did is amazing. I'm just saying
Like-
that doesn't necessarily
Like
mean
what happened
he's
with the
correct.
fire in the rainforest, like
Actually, that was a very small fire, and it was probably in the long
a
term good
small
for the Amazon
small
rainforest.
fire. That
Yes.
was not a small.
You
fire.
do understand the rainforest needs to burn down every once in a while. To grow back
Conspiracy
better.
theory here.
Do not.
All
start
I'm
talking.
saying is that
I'm not trying to get murdered. Stop.
Okay, speak your point. Speak your conspiracy.
Listen, we've
Yeah,
got
I'm
a
done.
million other episodes. All right.
Okay, we can do a
What I
whole
was
one
trying
on
to say-
conspiracies.
Anyway, is on the topic of environmentalism, right? And this is so we can talk about something we agree on. Recently, I was reading the news in the social studies class, and some scientists down in Florida found a way to artificially reproduce coral reefs, and I think that's one of the best things to happen to the planet in a very long time.
Because the coral
They
reefs-
haven't gotten enough recognition, and the coral reefs are dying, and that terrifies me because they're a very, very beautiful ecosystem.
They're
And-
important
and
to
if-
the oceans too.
Yes, they really are. They're where most of the life of the ocean is. And humans, I hate saying this because I hate admitting faults. Humans are the reason they're dying, for sure. Like, it's undebatable. They survived for 1 million
Waste.
years. Humans came, and now they're dying at an insane rate.
Because of waste.
But this scientist found a way to
Straws.
artificially. Can you stop? Artificially reproduce them, and I think it's one of the best things that's happened to the planet in a very long time. But news, they don't like reporting on the good stuff because
They'd
they'll get
rather look at
ratings.
the Kardashians.
Right. I fuck him. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's good. I think we need to point that out. I'm very proud of those people. And Epstein didn't commit suicide.
What? Not yet.
No conspiracies. What?
Speaking of
That's
conspiracies,
not a conspiracy.
It is
it's a fact.
conspiracy.
Speaking of conspiracies,
It's you think
What?
you know what it
Wait,
is.
you
but
think he
it's
didn't commit suicide?
not. Huh? I didn't.
Have you heard about the situation that went down in that prison?
Yes, I've heard about the fucking.
Then why are you even saying it's a conspiracy? It's a fact that he
Yeah.
killed himself. He didn't kill himself.
yeah, it was a suicide.
And yeah, it was suicide.
It's suicide, duh.
Yeah. Anyway, continue, Darian. Are we gonna segue into something else?
I wanted to talk about the conspiracy theory.
You sure it's not the boomer man?
No. Talk about pyramids.
Okay, boomer.
What did you say, Boomer?
I want to talk about pyramids.
Right, because actually, the reason we're talking about this is JD is deeply terrified of the fact that a pedophile got murdered. Now millions of pedophiles are getting off, and we find that terrifying that they can get away with that shit, and we don't do anything about it as a country.
What?
The fact we haven't risen up and killed everybody we know is insane. I'm just kidding.
Wait.
What are you
Don't
talking
do that.
about?
Do not rise up. Anyway.
What are you talking
What?
about?
What? Where did that come from?
Are you a rebel?
The pyramids, bottom line, are extremely terrifying. JD, please introduce them to the
Anyways,
very deep lore.
the pyramids. I want to talk about the fact that
And we're not just talking Egyptian pyramids, right, JD?
no.
Elaborate.
Of course, the pyramids. There's a few things around them. There's the one
What
that
pyramids?
I just
Gotta
want to.
explain.
I just want to start with the pyramids in Egypt. I just want to start there.
Only there. for
Giza?
now.
Oh, only there, like the pyramids of Giza and
Wait,
everything.
hold on. Does Darian know about this stuff?
He knows some, but there's that whole thing that the pyramids are built almost to the degree of pi. And of course, there is the whole conspiracy, like, oh, pi is such a perfect number. But there was a thing going around that one scientist is like, hey, maybe they used a wheel to measure things. And I mean, that makes sense. But there's just so much mystery about them. Like, first of all,
Well, what do you think happened there? Do you think it was...
I think it was a wheel. I don't
Right.
think it was
Well-
I don't think it was a perfect scientific number.
See, the thing is, a lot of people nowadays like to think we're very smart. We're a lot smarter than humans back in the past because we have technology and
False.
we know more than them.
False.
We're not. Humans back then were extremely clever. They were very smart. They knew what they were doing.
They could do the math equations that we need a calculator to do.
Right,
Still.
so they were very smart. They weren't ignorant, bumbling barbarians that needed an alien to do. They knew what they were doing. The thing that's extremely impressive is how they managed to do it with their current technology. It's not that they managed to do it; it's how they got there, right?
Yeah. Now, as you said something about aliens,
You're
you're making a mess.
It's water.
This moron just poured water from a big old container into a small mouth bottle. It's going
Hey,
everywhere.
bottom line is, I'm trying to.
You're still doing it.
I'm trying to help my bros. Listen, bro. Ain't no laws when you're drinking White Claws.
Oh boy. Anyway, like you said, the whole alien. Why are you dumping it into a different container?
Why did you just dump it in there in the first place?
I got water for every. Oh, now you want water? No.
Give me your fucking water.
Yeah, see, I got water for all of you. That's why I was doing that. And that thing has a. It's copyrighted. So I
Why?
couldn't pronounce it.
Why? That wasn't enough water. You
Listen,
Jew.
pour more when you're fucking done
Hey!
drinking, bitch. I need to calm down on the cursing. I'm very sorry. Back to soothe it
I
down.
said
we don't want a PewDiePie thing here.
Soothe your voices.
Okay,
Soothe your voices.
but anyways, like I said, with the no, you. No, I'm transitioning.
Transition later.
Like you said, what? People said something about they were smart. They were smart. They didn't need an alien.
They could think just as well as we can.
But how on earth are
I think
pyramids
there's
in
rat shit in my
Egypt?
glass.
Right. So here's the thing.
Here's Egypt.
I think there's
There's
rat.
pyramids.
Can you stop being a dipshit and let JD finish?
There's pyramids in Egypt.
Gross.
There's pyramids on the other side of the world. They're constructed almost identical that we haven't even began to understand.
Along with that, every single pyramid on the planet that is recorded, when they're all formed up, it turns two perfectly and we could be wrong on this. All right, I haven't researched this in a while, but these two lines line up almost perfectly to form almost like a complete cylinder on different areas of planets. They're all built very similarly. Some of them should not have been possible with the technology they had.
Yeah.
Like the ones in I think it's Armenia, and the ones in South America, they just should not have been able to build them with what they had.
I want to go into the South America
Leverage.
before documented people started living
also
there.
vast underground caverns beneath the ones, and I think it's Armenia. Maybe that's the name of the area. Very, very.
Before
terrifying.
people started the first documented people were there and stuff. There's pyramids and stuff that were built long before,
Oh, yeah,
and we have no idea how these things came up.
All right. Here's the deal. We're gonna stop talking about pyramids. They're kind of scare me. The fact they're there actually makes me want to cry inside. So we're gonna.
Do you think it was an extraterrestrial force?
What is your opinion on that?
So a lot of people think it's aliens, and actually, I'm gonna get on the alien subject
Lizard
right
people.
here.
Elon Musk.
A lot of people like to think it's very open-minded and smart to think that there are aliens out there and that are smarter than us and can travel through space. Here's the thing. I don't know what the name of it is specifically, but scientists have theorized that we'd better hope our asses that they're just watching us, because if they're not, and other alien species do exist and they are out there, they haven't reached space flight, which means that they have come along before us, and there's a line that we can't cross technologically.
See,
I don't believe that, though. So that is a thing, though, and he'll elaborate in a second. Also, there's another belief, which is the one I fall under. I think there's aliens out there. I don't think they're intelligent. I think they're microscopic. I think there may be a few small animals. I don't think there are other intelligent life forms. That's just my personal belief. I could be wrong. The thing is, we've explored more space. Space germs, I think there's definitely microscopic life out there. We have explored. We know more about space than we do our own ocean, right? So theoretically, it's more likely there are 10,000 people. Yeah, Atlantis is more likely. That's not necessarily true. Like
They died to float at the top.
I hate you.
We haven't received any messages from aliens that we can confirm.
Okay.
There is the WOW signal. We don't know for a fact that was an alien. We haven't seen any pictures. We haven't gotten any direct.
No, that's all YouTube's conspiracy.
Yeah, dude.
I think just YouTube.
Trusting that shit's about as accurate as trusting those ghost in the mirror videos.
Don't even get me started. That stuff gives me the chills. Okay.
It does. It used to creep me out. Doesn't anymore. So I think life is out there. I don't think it's intelligent. Otherwise, they'd reach us. And I want to not believe that there's intelligent life out there, because that would mean we're fucked.
I just want to give out a small theory. Okay, did you ever hear about the Black Knight satellite?
No.
Okay, the Black Knight satellite was something that they found long before Sputnik was able to get into space.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was two theories. One was it was an alien satellite, because it was giving off a signal that we didn't understand.
Right, that could just be metagenetics.
Exactly, but then I was like, people thought maybe it's one of those asteroids. But the thing is, it's hard to track. We can't track it in our orbit.
Well, it could have left our orbit, first of all. Second of all, the magnetic fields could fuck with our things.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind. Our technology on Earth isn't perfect yet, right?
Yeah.
We have flaws. Magnetism does fuck with our electronics still, such as solar flares could knock out every electronic in America tomorrow if we were.
I want to talk about that later.
Maybe later.
Okay.
I think, Darren, you actually want to go check how much time we got left?
Yeah, what are we at?
I think we're at like 45.
We'll do an hour and a half?
54.
It's gonna take forever to upload even an hour video. We should start closing this up.
Yeah, I want to finish on this topic.
Elaborate. Oh, finish up.
Okay. Let me say this theory. Let's say we were sort of like a zoo almost.
That's what I was saying. I hope to God they're watching us if there is one.
Yeah,
out
I would think that we're a zoo.
I don't think we are.
I don't think that we are. I think that that's an interesting theory to think about, though.
It is.
That we're just a zoo for them to watch,
Well,
and we're just a human experiment.
As a Christian,
We're
it's similar to
teaching
like
us.
how I like to think maybe God just invented us as a clever way of entertainment. So it's one of those. I don't think that's what happened. I don't think JD thinks that's what's going on. At least if he does, I don't blame him. It's one of the least terrifying examples of aliens. The whole thing about thinking about aliens is that if there is intelligent life forms out there and they exist, we're fucked unless they're watching us. If they're not watching us and they are out there, it means we're probably never going to reach spaceflight, which I don't think we will, JD. Later. What are you saying, Darren, before we close out?
But the thing is, even if you said that there is other intelligent life forms out there, what if they're like before us or at a different pace than us? Like they're just as intelligent as us or before us.
Well, here's the thing. Right, we're in a very new part of the galaxy. There's a lot of older parts.
Oh, true.
And we're in a huge galaxy, right? So if there is intelligent life form out there, odds are they're going to be ahead of us technologically.
Yeah,
right?
and or they could have been wiped out because of shit like that's going on nowadays.
Solar flares.
Like solar flares.
Listen,
or people that terrorists and stuff.
The reason, and this is not my theory, right? This is not my thing. This isn't my thinking. If there is intelligent life form out there and they're not just watching us like a zoo, we're fucked because they haven't reached the level of technological advancement to reach spaceflight, and they've probably been here way longer than we have, and they probably hit the same bell curve we did, right? So the reason it terrifies me so much is JD here, and we'll touch on this probably in the next podcast. He thinks we can pass the speed of light either through wormholes or like something to do with light flashing on a planet.
I'll explain that later.
I don't believe we're ever going to be able to do it based on Einstein's laws and just the way
Quantum theory.
The way it works, right? Because you get heavier the faster you go, and eventually you reach a certain mass. And I just don't think we're going to do it. Maybe with fusion energy, which I think we will reach. Maybe with that, we'll eventually get it. Maybe not. I don't think we will. The bottom line is, I don't think there's intelligent life out there. We'll talk about this more in the next podcast. Darian, thank you for coming on. You're a great man. We're probably going to have him in the next one. We might just record it now.
Good. Once we get a hold of Elon Musk, it'll be a good time.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You're only a temporary